Lovers of lore, thank you for joining me for the 7th installment of the March of the Machine storyline. This part of the story starts out with Chandra and Ren and Seven arriving on New Phyrexia. Chandra's mind boggles at the incredible size of Realmbreaker, and they encounter part of the Mirren resistance in the form of Koth and Malira. They all decide to join forces. Now, Ren has a plan to join with Realmbreaker and try and bring it under control. But Koth is very skeptical, and at the same time, he's also exhausted all other options, so he decides to go along with them. To get to Realmbreaker is a tricky feat. There are too many troops at the base. It would be certain death to head that way. So Koth contacts an unlikely ally in the form of Urabrask. Now, Urabrask chafes at Elishnorn's dominance. So, using pathways known only to him, they get closer to Realmbreaker and up on a platform. The plan from there will be to have Koth fling Chandra and Ren and Seven through the air, while the others distract Norn's forces by picking a fight with them. Now, they all had to move very quickly. The corruption in the air was palpable. In fact, the tips of the branches on Ren's tree 7 had turned black. The tiny bit of halo they had before arriving in New Phyrexia could only do so much. Urabrask carved runes into the ground, and Chandra and Ren took their places above them. Koth slammed his fist down into the earth, and then the runes flared, and Ren and Chandra were soaring through the air atop stone chunks that had been blown free. They were traveling so fast that it made their eyes water. Now, their journey was hampered by flights of bats that had blades for wings. Chandra was burning them out of the sky, whereas Ren and Seven grabbed one of them and used it to bludgeon its fellows. The bats made it absolutely impossible to see properly, so Chandra had no warning when she slammed into Realmbreaker, actually cracking one of her ribs so that every breath hurt. Ren landed without injury, and Chandra melted the few remaining bats near them. Plates set along Realmbreaker formed into Centurions and one hound, but they didn't move to attack, even when Chandra set them on fire. They spoke in unison. "We don't want to hurt you. We want to welcome you." Chandra quickly turned to check on Ren, and at that point, 2 spears lifted her up off the ground and pinned her against Realmbreaker. Now, fortunately for her, she's completely unharmed, as the Phyrexian speared her through her clothing instead of her arms. But this did put Chandra in the perfect spot to watch the horror unfold in front of her. Ren was under attack. Seven's thickest branch had just been hacked off. And when Chandra laid eyes on Ren's attacker, her world cracked. It was Nissa. She was now a 4-armed monstrosity that spoke of the glories of Phyrexia. And the worst part was that Nissa's voice was unchanged. It was the same it had always been, and it spoke to her. "You're afraid of my new form." All Chandra could say in response was Nissa's name again and again, until a Phyrexian spear drove into Chandra's leg. Nissa told Chandra she had nothing to fear and proceeded to tear Seven apart. Ren's screaming punctuated every torn limb until Nissa eventually drops what's left of Ren and turns back to Chandra. "You are short-sighted. Phyrexia's ways are best." She gestures, and the Phyrexian spears are pulled back, dropping her to her knees. Chandra was boiling with emotion. She wanted to strike out with furious power to burn Realmbreaker entirely, but she couldn't do it with Nissa here. Something in Nissa still cared for Chandra. She had lobbied Elishnorn for the right to speak with Chandra, to save her. Nissa explained this to Chandra. "This is why you were allowed to get this far, so I could save you." That's when the reality slammed home. This had all been a trap for Nissa to ensnare Chandra with. Nissa continues to try and persuade Chandra while Ren inches closer and closer. Nissa laughs at Ren's feeble attempts and binds her with copper branches from Realmbreaker, restraining her. Nissa starts to muse about how Ren could be completed into a guardian for Realmbreaker. Again, she tries to get Chandra to join her, but Chandra refuses, at which point Nissa directly attacks Chandra, and Chandra, with tears in her eyes, says she's sorry and conjures a fiery blast that blows Nissa and Chandra off of Realmbreaker, leaving the seriously wounded Ren behind all by herself. All right, my friends, that ends this installment of the story. Join me tomorrow for the next part. In the meantime, go and enjoy some more magic lore. There's tons of it on this channel. If you like what we're doing here, you can support it by joining the channel membership or by joining the Patreon. Big thank you to the channel's members and patrons. I will see you for the next one. And remember, my friends, lore is life.